A boo boo boo. Still there, Annie? I miss you.
Hey there, friend.
Okay, so now you sound normal. But yeah, this is weird to think it's just on my end.
I don't know. Just in case, I restarted my computer,
Okay.
and so we'll see if things cooperate a little more.
We actually sound crystal clear. This is actually better than we were sounding at the start of the second segment.
Okay.
Like I can hear you like perfectly now. Like you're not like you're no longer being clipped or anything like that.
But right when you said that, you crunched a little bit. So, but it sounded like digital. It sounded like distortion, like you get over like streaming. It didn't sound like your microphone was crunchy like it did
Whereas
before.
you sound like clear as a bell now. So hey, maybe if we stream again next week, I'm gonna shut down my router and restart right before we start recording, just to make sure there's no like weird stuff with that. Like that. Other than that, I can't think of anything else I can mess with. Okay, so we'll start broadcasting. Oh, we are broadcasting right now.
Okay, cool. Let me. So I started a new recording.
So you're recording GarageBand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I should start to yell something one last time.
Oh, I need to start. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Hello, hi, hi, hello.
Okay. And I should just tweet Jonathan T the link because he's the only one watching
it.
this.
Exactly. Hey, bud. Can you keep an eye out?
Hey, friend. Us? Thank you for monitoring us,
buddy.
But yeah, you sound perfect now. This is so weird.
Okay. So... Well, I'm glad we figured it out.
Okay, so we're at the. What the hell were we just talking about?
We were in the Geek Week interview. Let's see.
Something.
Bullshit, we were about to talk about Kotaku.
Okay, yeah. Kotaku. Okay.
In other news, Kotaku announced that it had been unfairly blacklisted by Ubisoft and Bethesda for leaking early info about Assassin's Creed Syndicate and Fallout 4.
What do you think about this?
It's a tricky situation. Like, it was an interesting article because it was all, basically the editors, who's a dude I respect, his whole thing was like, well, if someone gives me this information, is it ethical for me not to publish it?
Yeah.
What is it ethical for me not to publish rumors and news? And like, literally my job is to report. So am I doing a disservice to my people by not reporting? And then even if even from the publisher side, like, it's not like the people who control like the stories and the PR and the media and everything are even the developers. And like, that is all a very structured dance. And by doing all this horse shit, they're undoing that structured dance. And it's...
I think it would be easier to like really come down on one side of this or the other if the news we were talking about that they broke, that they got in so much trouble for, actually mattered anything.
Exactly,
Because it's not like they were reporting on terrible workplace conditions or anything that actually affected anybody. They were just telling us details about these games a year before they came out. Both cases, it was just like, oh, hey, Assassin's Creed is going to take place in London. You have a twin sister, or you have a twin brother. And Fallout 4 was like, oh, it takes place in Boston. There's a guy named Jada Pinkett Smith. Wait, no, Preston Sturges? What is it? It's funny, like, actually, you go back and read their Fallout 4 report, it really is. They got, like, fucking detail. Like, Bethesda must have been super pissed, because it really is like, oh, here's, like, the transcript of your entire first conversation with Preston Sturges. And
yeah, they got the casting call.
Like, they actually even had the whole opening, the first, like, whole opening, that, like, the first cutscene, they had the whole script for, down to, like, so this is, Kotaku is choosing a really weird hill to die on here.
Yeah.
It's,
I think friend of the podcast, Kelly Nelson, put it best. And I am going to be that person who reads tweets right now. When she observed Here's a moment where choosing a side is a hopeless endeavor. On this side, irresponsible journalism disguised as heroic truth spitters. On
Yeah.
the other, IP holders with slightly off PR campaigns who are withholding from the press. Oh yes, this sounds like a great moment in human history.
Exactly. This is going to be something that no one remembers again in a year, because I think every outlet in the world has been blocked by publishers for some reason or another, whether it was justified or not. But like, who gives a shit? And it's just like, oh my god, Kotaku's not a part of the pre-digested PR loop for like the games next year or something like that. It's not like.
I will say this,
Yeah.
what is most impressive is that I believe it was Jake Rodkin of Idle Thumbs who said that what he was most impressed by was that from their coverage of those games, you wouldn't know that they had been blacklisted. Like they still were doing
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
good, thorough coverage of those games.
Yeah, that's why it was such news, I guess, when they came out. Which, granted, I haven't really been reading Kotaku for a while now, but yeah, it was like, yeah, you wouldn't know anything different. So at least they've been doing a good job on that front. I wonder what forced them to come out. I don't know if they like maybe it's because they had like markedly lacking like Fallout 4 reviews or something like that. But.
Well, they did talk about, since they didn't get a preview. I think they mentioned that the only way their reviewer posted a timely review of Fallout 4 is that they sent Bethesda sent a preview copy to one of their freelancers, probably hoping that they would cover it for like the New York Times or another outlet.
Something like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like you don't really win, and ultimately, I feel like the people who suffer the most in that situation are perhaps like the developers who are getting their laundry aired, and like it could affect, like, I don't know. It's hard for me to root for a situation that could negatively impact the poor people who are already being treated as disposable garbage.
Funny because I mean, Kotaku knows the rules. They know they were breaking the rules. It wouldn't be so weird if the Kotaku wasn't like a cornerstone of an industry that survives entirely on the whim of the publishers.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 99% of the news they get and they publish is just PR stuff from those people.
Right.
So yeah, it's a little weird for them to act so surprised that their shit got shut down when they like fucking went out of their way to piss off the publishers. If this were an industry that wasn't, if the game journalism industry wasn't so locked into sucking from the teat of the publishers, this would be a more interesting story, even if it was about the same stuff. But it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's like if all the water you get is from your home tap and suddenly you decide not to turn on your tap, and then you're gonna publish a news story about how, oh my god, now I'm dehydrated. It's like, well, no shit, congratulations, like you just go drink some more water. It's like, what did you expect? Like, kind of this is the nature of the beast.
It's a weird situation
with your shitty little industry. Especially when you call this games journalism, because it's not, when you're in a line of work where most of your work is just repurposing PR public release stuff. Yeah, it's yeah, and when the hill you choose to die on is about how you just decided to buck that PR like feedback loop. It's like, how are you thinking people are going to react? Like we're supposed to rally around you guys or something like that? Not to say that was even the tone of what they were writing, like, oh, pity us.
No, I actually thought that it was a really evenly written.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which I hate to make it sound like that, but at the same time, it's like, well, okay, what are we supposed to do with that information then? At least now we know why. If you guys don't have like really like deep Fallout 4 coverage, we know why, but at the same time, like beyond that, like how are we really supposed to care? And I guess we're not saying that we should care, but at the same time, I don't know.
It's just a weird scenario.
It's kind of mucky and ugh.
Oh, great. Another scenario in which video games are, to use the Tumblr phrase, weirdly problematic. This is really good.
Could be worse, though. Could be Gamergate. Although Gamergate did pick up on stuff. Like, I guess Claire Hummel was bitching about Kotaku, and so Gamergate picked up on that. Like, Claire Hummel says that, like, Kotaku's bullshit, because, like, for some reason, Kotaku's one of their big targets for no reason.
Sure, yeah.
So, I don't know. It's fucking dumb, you know?
Oh, boy. Rooster Teeth threw shade at Jeff Gerstmann's Fallout 4 review score while wearing a Pip-Boy, no less.
Did you hear anything about this?
This is all news to me. This is all just word salad.
Do you know who Rooster Teeth is?
Rooster Teeth. Oh, hold on. Rooster Teeth are the people who do Red versus Blue, right?
Exactly. That's about as much about it as I know. Yeah.
Yeah, and Jeff Gerstmann was the dude who was the reviewer who was fired from IGN for talking about payola, or for giving a bad review for a game that had lots of coverage. Like that. What was it? That shitty. Yeah,
Kane and Lynch or something like that.
Yeah, Kane and Lynch too. Yeah.
So Jeff Gerstmann, he's also the founder of Giant Bomb, one of the big, not even review sites. They don't even post reviews as much as just like do quick looks and stuff like that. But so Rooster Teeth, I guess they've moved on from just doing Red versus Blue stuff, and now they just like do video game reviews and do like comedy skits online, like live stuff. It's no longer like
they're a media empire, right?
Yeah, they've kind of turned in their own media empire. And so I guess they went on some kind of like other like video game like talk show, and they showed up with their Pip-Boys, and they started talking there in this interview about how people like Jeff Gerstmann gave the console version of Fallout 4 a 3 out of 5 stars. He gave the PC version 4 out of 5 stars. And these Rooster Teeth people started talking about how people like Jeff Gerstmann give Fallout 4 such low scores just for attention, just to drive traffic, just for essentially clickbait. And they said this after a month of producing Fallout 4 sponsored content, running Fallout 4 ads, and they actually were sitting there in Fallout 4 costumes with the Fallout 4 Pip-Boys that were sent to them by the publishers. Like, it's weird that they're like, and they were complaining about Fallout 4 getting intentionally terrible reviews, and by what their idea of terrible reviews is like 3 out of 5 and 4 out of 5 scores. They're complaining about how Jeff Gerstmann essentially did not give Fallout 4 a perfect score, and like not in a funny kind of comical, like, we're going to turn this into a set, or they're just kind of like teasing Jeff Gerstmann, but it was like honestly they were like complaining in a way that like, the fuck are you guys talking about? And you guys are like the ones who like your entire last month of content on your site has been nothing but Fallout 4 stuff, because people post, they went back that like, yeah, it's essentially Fallout 4 presented by Fallout 4 has been like their entire site for the last month. And it's just a little bit like, that's especially coming from a group that's supposed to be like this independent bunch of like gamers just making content for other gamers, but like really sounding like Bethesda mouthpieces in a way that I don't think Bethesda's told them to go out and like bitch at Jeff Gerstmann, but looking so bought and sold when they're wearing like the Pip-Boy toy on their arm, complaining about these terrible 3 out of 5 star reviews, and just like, oh, it's just really weird, like how you can be so easily bought and sold, or like your view of like what is a good review or a bad review can be so warped, and how much you can accidentally kind of make an ass of yourself in front of like the public if you don't pay attention to how you're presenting yourself, especially if you're part of like a paid advertising campaign for the subject that you're talking about. It's just really weird. So yeah,
it's it's also just the whole idea that the way the relationship gaming has with reviews is so fucking complex and gross.
Yeah.
Like everything from the way fans react to reviews and down to the way developers are paid based on reviews. It's all so broken and muddy and complex. And
the fact that your kids could essentially kind of miss out on Christmas if your game doesn't get reviewed well enough.
Well, it brings I think about this a lot because like Fallout New Vegas is my favorite Fallout game, and to be fair, it was the most broken Fallout game of all. It was a really impressively Obsidian broken game, but they missed like a bonus that they were really hoping on.
Yeah,
they were
probably banking on. Yeah,
by like literally a point on Metacritic.
Yeah,
and it's just like that sort of shit. It's like this all too hard as it is. It just makes me feel gross.
And again, there's no one person responsible for any of this. This is just the way, like, it's just grown out of just the industry and how people act and how companies act, and it's just like, yeah, it's there's no one villain in this situation, but it is just kind of like, ugh. And then the big thing too, yeah, exactly. Like, no one should consider a 3 out of 5 star review of anything to be bad. It's not great. And even Justin Gerstmann came out and he said, he was like, oh no, I gave the PC version 4 out of 5 stars because that's the version that actually works. The only reason I even gave the console version 3 out of 5 stars was just because it's so buggy compared to the PC version. But in terms of like the gameplay design and the content there, it's a good game. He doesn't seem to be too impressed with Fallout in general, though. Like, he admits it's a a good game, but he's not a big fan. But he'll come out and say like it's a 4 out of 5 5-star game when it works. And so it's not like, and like his only response to this was just kind of like, who gives a shit? I don't care. So it's not like he was like even picking a fight back or anything like that, which even make like these guys were trying to pick a fight with him even kind of weirder. But like, yeah, it's just the whole thing. Again, it's another gaming industry thing where it's just kind of like, yeah, just kind of an oogie mess. But that was just kind of the big gaming news this week. Those two things, that and the Kotaku thing. So yeah.
Meanwhile, in movies, behind-the-scenes video of Peter Jackson falling apart while making The Hobbit, which maybe explains why it was broken up into 3 movies rather than 2 to give Jackson more time.
Did you see anything about this?
I heard about it and I started to watch the video, but I did not have the
he's walking around the set of The Hobbit with a gun, just shaking, just. No, it's so I guess the Blu-ray for the last Hobbit movie just came out, the Battle of the Five Armies. Did you see any of those movies?
I watched the first Hobbit movie.
Yeah, it made an impression, huh?
Yeah, I never. All of the Lord of the Rings movies kind of bounced off me in general, and it just was not for me.
So I guess the big takeaways from the Blu-ray for the last movie that came out, I guess supposedly, not only this like little featurette that got put onto YouTube, but also in the commentary I've heard, Peter Jackson's pretty frank with talking about how the real reason why, because originally then they announced that there was only going to be 2 Hobbit movies, and he convinced New Line Cinema to turn it into 3, and it sounds like what happened was because originally, Guillermo del Toro was supposed to direct those 2 movies.
Right.
And he dropped out right before filming was supposed to start, and Peter Jackson took over. And it sounds like he had an okay time with the first movie, but when he started getting into the second movie, which is supposed to be the end of the story, the whole big climactic fight scene between the Battle of the Five Armies at the end, he didn't have enough time because he was only the producer, he wasn't the director, and they were ditching a lot of the stuff that Guillermo del Toro had designed and kind of like put together for his version of the movie. And so essentially he was coming into the second movie having done none of the preparation stuff. The script wasn't still finished to the Peter Jackson's taste and all this stuff. And it got to the point they were filming like the climactic fight scene without a script. And this is a huge battle between like thousands of warriors and stuff. And in the movie, it's supposed to be thousands of warriors, but they only had like a couple dozen dudes in costume sitting on a green screen stage. But it got to the point where like he was so frazzled because he was having to spend so much time working on the script during the night, and they come in and film there during the day, but also filming with an incomplete script and all this stuff, that he was kind of losing his fucking mind. And so they have this little featurette. It's like a little 10-minute featurette that got put onto YouTube that is from the Blu-ray of him essentially explaining why there turned out to be a third movie, is because he realized that there was just not enough material. Like he was just not in a position to like make that third movie. So he actually had to go to New Line and say, hey, can we just delay the making of this movie by a year so I can sit down and get the script into a place that I like and actually like design the action scenes and actually figure out the shape of this second movie, because right now we're just kind of making up as we go along and it's not working. And it's like really one of the most like brutally honest things I've ever seen from like a major production, where like you have the director coming out and saying, yeah, when I made this movie, I was just at the end of my rope. I was falling apart. Which is funny because the third movie still actually turned out to be pretty bad. But it's interesting just to him just talking about like how, yeah, I don't know, just the evolution of that series, him being pretty honest. He doesn't talk about anything too much about the other movies or anything like that, but yeah, that dude was fucked up, man.
That's so sad because it seemed like the initial Lord of the Rings movies came from a place of such love and happiness and like all that. And
yeah, and you can totally see, I think even at some point he says he talks about how he almost would have preferred to see Del Toro's version of that movie anyway, but it's like, yeah, he looks like a fucking disaster in that little short that got leaked, but I don't know. So yeah, it's kind of weirdly his way, and like kind of presenting that information on the Blu-ray almost seems to be his way of explaining why the Hobbit movies in general just didn't turn out that good, because he had to take over at the last minute and didn't have all of his preparation time, and I don't know. So
did you know, Bill, that the skull of Winnie the Pooh is now on display at the Hunterian Museum in London? In reality, it's the skull of Winnie Pig, the bear that inspired the name of the teddy bear belonging to A.A. Milne's sons, and by extension, the name of Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, so I guess they just found the skull of this bear somewhere, and they said, oh, let's put it on the museum, and let's call it the skull of Winnie the Pooh. Which that actually, you're gonna get attention for your new bear skull exhibit, saying we've got the skull of Winnie the Pooh. I mean, that's like, might as well come out and say, you know, we have the dried uterus of Mary Poppins in a case. Do you want to see it? Maybe not. We have the mummified left hand of Captain Nemo. Yeah, so it's just a bear. And for a moment there, because I read the article about this, and they're like, "Oh, Winnipeg the bear," and I was like, "Yeah, wait, that's not Winnie." I was like, "Oh, that's right. If you just shorten Winnipeg into Winnie, it's Winnie the Pooh." But so,
oh boy. And in summation, our last note this week: goodbye, Gravity Falls.
Yeah. Did you ever really watch that much Gravity Falls?
I watched the heck out of the first season.
Yeah, I did too.
I really enjoyed it.
I was waiting for it to, like, for more of it to pile up before I really got back into it, not realizing the second season was going to be the last season, which I guess is going to end like next week. I guess there's still only 2 more episodes left in the season, and so that's when Alex Hirsch, the Gravity Falls creator, came out this week and said, "Yeah, we've only got 2 more episodes this season, and ever the series finale airing in 2 weeks. Come and watch it."
I gotta respect the hell out of him for that, because the whole point of Gravity Falls is that it is a summer in the lives of these young people, and there are very specific mysteries that I hope they solve, and there's you gotta kind of respect somebody with the creative vision to see that through.
Yeah, I mean, granted, the summer that this whole like story's been going through has been an incredibly long summer over the course of these 2 seasons. But I really do, like you said, like, this is like the natural evolution of this is pretty much what you just said, Annie. This is the shape of the story, and it's almost over. And
you know, it's so rarely do you get that in television at all, much less in animated television, and that's really cool.
Yeah, they take some actual discipline, and from all accounts, and like the show's had great reviews. It's had great viewership. It's not like it's not like it's being canceled and he's just trying to make it seem like, oh, we meant to do this. But
yeah, it was interesting. In his statement, he said that one of the reasons why they haven't talked about it more is that Disney was hoping that they could talk him out of it.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, he can always come back someday. But it is really, I just love the idea that it is just about kind of like this last summer between this like brother and sister who are just like on the cusp of, it's essentially the last summer of their childhood, essentially, because I think they're both turning 13 at the end of the summer. And I don't know, I happened to catch one of the last episodes a couple weeks ago, and it really is, Mabel gets freaked out because for the first time she realizes that summer is coming to a close, and I think Dipper is talking about how whenever they go back home, he wants to do something where, like, I don't know, it's not that he wants to go do it to a different school that Mabel's going to be at, but something that suggests that, like, their time, like, it reminds Mabel that their time together is finite. They're not going to be spending the rest of their lives hanging out together as teenagers or as adults as they are as kids. And she gets really fucked up about that. And there's no real resolution to that. I mean, granted, there's been a couple of more episodes that have aired since then, but it's nice to see that they're kind of addressing that kind of, I mean, it's rare to see a brother and sister on TV in live action or cartoons or otherwise that care that much about each other, or even are self-aware enough to realize, like, oh, we're children and this is a good thing and this is not going to last forever. But I don't know, those are cool characters.
Yeah, it's just an interesting sort of thing. Like, I've been thinking about that a lot because I've been thinking about siblings in media, because ultimately Hunger Games, the core thrust of it is about, you know, the relationship between siblings, and that's kind of what motivates Katniss from start to finish. And the movie really hammers in it. There are 3 sets of siblings in that movie, and none of them have a really good time with it.
No,
and, you know, but there's something that's true about having this person who, if you're lucky, is like your baked in best friend, or at least someone who's always there for you. And it's some of the first loss you experience in your life, I think, is like when that changes and drifts, and
especially when it's kind of expected. It's supposed to be a natural part of life, but if you're in a situation where you're lucky enough that, like, that's kind of fucked up.
It's something where there's a time clock on it. It's like, it's not like if, like, you're like loss of, like, oh, a relative dies, or, you know, it's like this relationship I have with this person is very intense, and it's only going to last for so much longer.
And you're expected to outgrow that kind of like and that, like I said, that one little bit of a more recent season 2 episode I saw was kind of like that was the whole point with Mabel, and I was like, man, that's fucked up. That's kind of sad.
But yeah, that's really that's really brave and really cool. It's got to be hard to stop something that is successful, and just to be given permission to stop something that is successful. That's remarkably cool of Disney to do that, and I think it really speaks to that they hope to build on those relationships with those creators, that they're willing to let them pump the gas like that.
Yeah, and it's also the same thing in that episode. They managed to destroy like a quarter of the town, and so it was one of those things where I was like, I wonder how they're going to retcon that, because you can't keep on destroying the town like this and have the show go on forever. And like, oh, actually no, that's actually one of the last episodes. So maybe the town is permanently fucked up now.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to have a show where there is an actual ever changing status quo, because that is not something you often find in children's in cartoons and stuff. But it's just kind of cool that we live in an age of like your Steven Universes and your Gravity Falls, where there is this sense of a movement towards something, and you get real, authentic resolution from it.
Oh man, I follow the Steven Universe subreddit, and they're dying for new content because like there's no episodes for the foreseeable future, at least not until next year. So I see everyone just kind of like, well, here's my Steven Universe Zelda mashup, or some kind of random like. Since they have, like, it's been a while since new episodes have had to talk about it. It's just like them just treading water, just kind of going, oh. It's kind of like the Avatar: The Last Airbender fandom between like the series ending and Korra being announced. It's like, what do we do now? Oh no! It's like a bunch of bored kids on a rainy Saturday afternoon without a video game. They're just like, fuck. Anyway.
And with that, we're going to wrap this up so I can go check on my poor sick wife and play more
Finally,
Fallout.
yeah, Jesus.
So thank y'all, friends, as always, for listening. This was the Boy Howdy Podcast. We're at Boy Howdy Podcast on Twitter. Howdy at boyhowdypodcast.com is an email address. You can ding us at boyhowdypodcast.com is our general web layer. We'll be back next week to talk to y'all about more pop culture bullshit, and hang on. And this week Bill will be uploading his delightful Star Wars commentary.
That'll probably go up, like I said, Tuesday or Wednesday, probably, for new content for people to listen to if you like Star Wars and you need something to listen to over the Turkey Day weekend. Any special Thanksgiving Day plans, Annie?
It is my wife's birthday. Woo! So hopefully she will be recovered enough from her food poisoning that we can actually have more than broth and crackers.
Do you have 4 days off?
I'm probably gonna go back to work on Friday.
Oh, really? I guess. Well,
I mean, here's the thing. I'm like, my big plans are for the Christmas holiday, and I gotta wrap up some big projects at work so that I can do that. Okay. So
say that's your Fallout time. You could have that Fallout game beaten by the end of the holiday weekend if you want.
Dude, I don't know. There's something about working in an office on a day off where most people aren't there that is beautiful. You get so much shit done.
And man, the 7-Eleven will be Black Friday, so they'll have like Slim Jims for like a penny.
I know what you're getting for Christmas.
Exactly. Okay. I hope everyone here, at least here in the States, has a good Thanksgiving. Everyone else, get on that Thanksgiving kick, because man, fucking turkey soup. You guys are missing out. Turkey soup. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the other side of Thanksgiving, which will be the Christmas side of the holiday season. Oh Damn, my God.
I will have my Christmas tree up.
Next week?
Yeah, the day after Thanksgiving is when you put the tree up in my family.
But not if you're at work. I was saying take off, or at least make it a half a day. Let's put it that way. Oh my God, you know what that means? The day after Thanksgiving is when I start looking at the Swiss Colony catalog for reals. Gotta get on that holiday friends log.
All right, pals, we'll talk to y'all next week.
Okay, take care, guys. Oh, thank God that bullshit is over.
All right, Bill, I will send you these three MP3s.
3 MP3s. Thank you guys. We're still broadcasting, actually. But we love you guys. We actually had 2 listeners there for a moment. Thank you, Jonathan, for watching after us, giving us feedback. God knows how this episode is going to sound in the end.
Yeah.
We'll see what I can do. I'll try to wave my podcast editing magic wand and see what happens. Annie, I love you. Yeah, whenever you get a moment, send me those MP3s, and I will try to bash that stuff together.
Yeah. Okay. All right, my friend, I'll send things off to you.
Okay, goodbye. I miss you.
Bye, Bill. I miss you too. Bye.
You're a beautiful person. Okay, I'll talk to you later.